Hello and welcome back to Module 1. This is Lesson 3. So now that you've learned that fat loss comes from a calorie deficit, and now that you've also found your maintenance calories, let's choose a smart deficit and learn a little bit about volume eating throughout the next lesson, but also make sure that you don't feel deprived, and this is an actual sustainable change for the term or the period of which you are trying to lose fat. So when it comes to creating a calorie deficit, there is no one size fits all. The right deficit for you depends on your lifestyle, your goals, and how much support you actually have. So instead of just randomly slashing your calories, let's ask some difficult questions. I want you to get a pen and paper and figure out what's actually sustainable for you. Are you ready? So grabbing that pen and paper, I want you to ask yourself, what does my day-to-day life look like? Are you juggling a demanding job? Do you have to go places and do things, and is it chaotic? Do you have kids? Are you training hard? Do you have other responsibilities? Are you a caretaker? And are you sleeping enough? If your life is already stressful, then a mild deficit, 10 to 15% below your maintenance, is likely your best bet. It'll take a little longer, but you will still see changes. And it's much easier to stick to without crashing your energy, your mood, and feeling like this is another crash diet, because it's not. Second question, how quickly do I want to see results? And how much fat do I actually need to lose? It's easy to want fast results within 2 to 3 months, but be very realistic. The more aggressive your diet is, it's not always the answer. A moderate deficit of 15 to 20% is often ideal for most people, and it gives steady results without putting too much stress on your body. However, if you really want to go aggressive and say 25 to 30% of a deficit from your maintenance, you really should be working with a coach. That level of dieting can be really tough to handle on your own, and it comes with more physical and emotional strain. The third question, am I doing this alone, or do I have the necessary support to lean on? This is a big one because the people around you do affect your results. When you're working with a coach, like myself, you have someone to help you monitor how things are going, put things into perspective, make adjustments, reassess, and give you professional advice, and remind you also of your goals when things get tough. But if you're doing this alone, it's really important not to overdo it. You have to be your own cheerleader, and you have to remind yourself of your own goals, or have your people, your friends and family do it for you. And it's a lot harder than it sounds, and motivation will dip. And life, for some crazy reason, when you decide to do these things, life tends to get hectic. Things don't always go as planned. So answer those 3 questions, put it into perspective, and more importantly, I want you to test your deficit. Test your deficit for 2 weeks. Once you've chosen a deficit, do not panic if the scale doesn't move right away. It takes between 4 to 8 weeks to really see a drop in the scale, and use this time to pay attention to how you feel in the 2 weeks of a trial period. The first question is, are you feeling sleepy, hungry, lethargic? Are you constantly cranky? Are you constantly thinking of food? And then, do you have the energy to train and stay active and perform your best during your workouts? Give it 2 weeks, ask these questions, and then reassess. If things are going smoothly, then keep going. Great, you're on the right track. But if it feels like too much and you're just overwhelmed, this is supposed to be a journey. Take a step back and reassess. If you are barely seeing progress, but feel fine, then you need to up it up. If it seems too easy and you're like, I don't struggle at all, then reassess what you're doing. If you don't see a drop in the scale, then definitely reassess that deficit, because it might not be a deficit. Adjust based on the way that your body responds. The other thing is, I'm going to put a link down below to a biometric scale. So a biometric scale is very helpful because The scale itself only shows you a number of how much you weigh. It doesn't take into account muscle, water, fat, and especially as a woman, we have our cycles. We do retain more water during our period, so if you see the scale go up during your period, it does not mean that you have gained fat. And if you are doing this change, if you're going into a deficit the week before your period, or 2 to 3 weeks before your period, keep that in mind, because then you definitely won't see a drop in the scale, okay? And then, in the next lesson, or actually, let me look at my notes. A big reminder. I need you to know that this goal is not to lose weight as fast as possible. I know summer's right around the corner. I know there might be events. I know that things are going on in your life, and you just want to do it now. But here's the thing. You want to lose fat, and you want to keep it off. So, choose a deficit that fits your life and stick with it, because we're trying to make a lifestyle change. And adjust that deficit based on how you feel. Be realistic about it. In the next lesson, we will talk about how to maintain this deficit and not feel hungry, because that tends to be a huge problem. When you decide that you're going to lose fat, your body's like, I don't like this, and it starts sending off a little bit more ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and you start to get a little bit hangry. So how do we avoid feeling hangry? How do we avoid the hunger? This is a huge mistake that definitely happens with people that are not aware about the next lesson, volume eating. I'll see you there.